Yo, this is Tay Motivates.
This is awesum.malik. So let's look past the surface to elevate your mind and elevate your perspective. This is Elevated Thought.
Hey, I can get down with that. I've been good, bro. What about yourself?
Hey, just another day, another dollar.
So,
what you got for the perspective? What you got for the topic today?
I'm thinking we could talk about happiness today, bro. The reason I kind of want to talk about this is I really want to get my perspective around happiness, and I kind of think that perspective is a very unorthodox point of view, and I think it's really cool at the same time. I think a lot of time when we're like focusing on the mainstream media to feed us what is happiness, how does it look, how does the movies portray it, it doesn't really tell us or what is real happiness, in my opinion. And I would love to just have a conversation around, what we think happiness is, and what kind of notions are getting displayed that, me personally don't agree with, but also understanding your perspective around happiness also.
So I kind of picked up on a little fairy tale happiness, the glamorization of happiness, society's view of happiness, and then your own personal perspective of happiness in there. Am I mixing it up right? Just a little bit?
Yeah, man. So let me want to know one thing. Like, you want me to lay it down, or you wanna throw it in?
Go ahead. Give it. Let's hear your perspective, and then I'll piggyback on the piggyback.
Okay. Nothing wrong with picky. Look, so, bro. First off, I kind of think that happiness. So just coming from personal experience, I understand when I'm not happy and when I am happy. And when I'm not happy, it's easy for me to confuse myself with being happy. And I only understand that when I get back to like this state of, what we call happiness, that I understood that, I was not happy, but, in this kind of fake notion of happiness. And that really made me think of like, wow, like it was so small and like grain level that I found it really, really interesting. So initially what happened, bro, I was going through a time where I wasn't too happy, right? And at times I thought I was happy, but my thoughts was clearly looking back at the situation, not congruent with like, good vibrations, just, in a loving state. But, I was on the high when it came to, my life situation. Yeah, I'm living in a pretty good spot. I have people around me that's pretty cool. Like things around me are looking good, but I was fooled by thinking I was happiness. I mean, I was happy. Could you kind of relate with ever been in a situation like that?
Yeah, so I can kind of relate when it comes to that. It's more of the illusion of happiness, of this is how happiness is supposed to be. You're supposed to be smiling all the time. You're supposed to be feeling the vibe all the time because people are around you. It's supposed to be intoxicating to you, and you're supposed to feel what everybody else is feeling instead of your own emotions during that period of time. I kind of think happiness goes alongside with like gratitude a lot of the times, because what you're really grateful for is what you really value, and what you value can drive or steer your happiness into a direction. So I think happiness is really dependent upon perspective, because a lot of people drive it off of society's viewpoint of what you want and what's needed and what looks pretty and what looks nice, but it's really off of what you value. And what you value is worth more than like gold itself, I feel.
I like that. I really like how you're doing like gratitude. And one thing that I my personal opinion on this is that when you're happy, you're naturally in gratitude. And when I say happy, I kind of want to define when I say happy. It's like when you're so my perspective on what is real happiness, right, is when it's like this underlying radar. It's like this underlying vibration, and it's always with me. no matter what's going on in the outside. So rather I just got a job promotion. Yeah, it's cool. Rather I just my car just broke down, right? Or rather, you know, anything as far as just like, I got a new shirt, or I put a stain in my shirt, got a hole in my shirt. Happiness is always in the background. It's never like the main emotion.
Mm.
And so when it's in the background, I cannot be happy, and I can also be happy. Now the differences that I'm noticing when I am happy is there's a more enjoyment and a more willing to embrace my current emotion. And it kind of just like it I don't have like these filters of where I'm saying, yo, you shouldn't be feeling like this. You should be feeling better than this, or anything like that. It's more of a acceptance of, this is where I am. This is where I'm at. This is how I'm feeling. This is how I feel like I should properly handle this. And it's more of just of acceptance of everything that's me. And that's in the background of how I feel is the view of happiness. Now, after I get your perspective, I do want to go into, what is unhappiness and what kind of are the things that make me able to detect when I'm unhappy. Now, do you have any thoughts around, how or what is authentic happiness to yourself?
Yeah, so I have a couple of theories, a couple of thoughts when it comes to authentic happiness. I think authentic happiness is, well, first, the backtrack a little bit. I feel like a lot of people don't know when they're actually in a happy, state, or when they're actually in a happy moment. I feel that happiness can be misconstrued with enjoyment, or exciting, or joy, or anything like that. But I feel that happiness comes in the moments. I feel like life is like the stock market. You have highs, you have lows, but in between, the actual happiness is in between those moments. Authentic happiness is in between those moments. You can't really think that all the times will be happy and all the times will be sad, because that's not realistic. That's not how life goes. And so once you realize that, you can like closely monitor yourself, you can closely understand what you're actually starting to think of. And once you become conscious of what you're monitoring within yourself, of, hey, I actually enjoyed that moment. I love spending time with my family. I love, playing basketball with my friends and stuff like that. And it's not the activity itself, it's the time that's spent that's more valued than anything else. And once you start to realize that, it drives more the authentic happiness. Because, like, I give example, I traveled to a couple of countries before, right? It wasn't me more being in those places or being in that environment around those people that made it the valuable memory that it was. It was being with my friends, experiencing that with others, that drove those moments of enjoyment and drove those moments of happiness. And so I think without other people experiencing it with me, without those memories that are tied to that through bonds, you know what I mean, through other people, I wouldn't have had those moments. Those wouldn't be happy memories for me. You could take a trip by yourself and it's supposed to be fun. You could take pictures on Instagram and it looks like you're having all the fun in the world, but half the people that are taking these pictures that have millions of views, they're taking it alone. And that's not a memory of happiness. That's a memory of loneliness. And it can be misconstrued. So I feel like, hey, when you get that nice group of people and you have that, feel that vibe, it's more the moments and the memories and the time spent during that actually drives that authentic happiness. You know what I mean?
Okay, so yeah, yeah, man. I definitely got to understand your perspective. Love hearing it, and I got some questions around it. Just for me, so how do you like? Do you don't feel that happiness can be found in the individual experience, or not even in the individual experience, but just like being alone?
I wouldn't say it wouldn't be an individual experience. So what I'm saying is, like, same thing with those travels. Some of my trips were meant to go with friends, right? Some of those trips were meant for me to find my own way. And I took trips alone, for me to find my own way. But it was more of me understanding and taking that time to self evaluate, like walking along the beach, you know what I mean? Seeing the different cultures, blending in with the cultures without, other outside distractions or anything like that. That was more of my personal, we'll say pilgrimage or, road that I wanted to take on. I wouldn't say that it was only driven by me being around friends, but it was just something that I mentally needed to, view. And I say, it was the moment in time of me interacting with those other people or me interacting and being conscious of what I'm actually doing to be able to monitor that, hey, this is a moment of bliss. I'm walking on the pink sand beach. This is a moment of bliss. I got here. I'm in this moment. This is something that's naturally made around me. This is beautiful. You know what I mean? And really envelop that environmental beauty around me, like sit down and smell the roses without me consciously viewing that. Then some people can perceive it as, lonely. They wouldn't perceive it as the happiness. But because I was able to monitor that, then I say those moments were happy as well. It's blissful enjoyment. And it differs when it comes to certain social groups or certain people, or that's why I drove it to, like, a lot of times when people post things on Facebook or post things on Instagram or anything like that, it's more of the glamorization of what it is versus the actual authenticity behind it.
Okay, got you. Um, that was a lot. That was a lot to pick up, bro. I think I'm riding right with you. I think we're going to come back to kind of that in the future, but I kind of wanted to
Mm-hmm.
say, like, um, you know, I think a lot of tales about being unhappy and being unhappy, right? I think a lot of it comes through like a notion of the law of attraction. And when I say this is when you are like you were saying, and I found that really interesting how you was that thing that was able to experience not only your environment but also yourself in your environment.
Mm-hmm.
I found that really interesting. But talking along that also is when you are experiencing that 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 self that is beyond you know you in a way, or just your deeper self. When you're in
Yeah.
touch with that, you're inspired by different things. Like, I find it really
Mm-hmm.
funny. Have you ever been like attracted to fruit, or like attracted to, like, just how like what you are attracted to literally speaks on where you are at and your vibrations. And I would love to hear some takes on how you kind of feel about the law of attraction, and how that kind of be like a detection to understand where you at as far as mentally or spiritually.
So, like, I know exactly what you mean. I'm starting to pick up on the vibes. So when it comes to law of attraction, law of attraction and the vibrations, I feel like when it comes to fruit and stuff like that, it's more of a craving. So people use that word to gravitate towards it of something, you know what I mean? But it's more of the frequency of how you feel towards that stuff. It's what's really pulling you towards what's over there. And I feel like a lot of times the mindset and your perspective when it comes to things, like how I was saying, that environment, the nature, you know what I mean? It helps resonate that frequency that you have. So, like I was saying, I was on the pink sand beach, you know what I mean, hearing the wind. It was completely silent. You hear the waves, everything crashing. I feel like that absolute me just enveloping, closing my eyes, and just feeling everything around me draw it just drew the attraction to it more, which increased the vibration, and it internally made me resonate more with that environment, to where that gratitude that we were talking about comes in, even more of, I was grateful for being in that environment, not dealing with my phone, not being distracted by anything else. It was more of I'm grateful for being able to experience this within this moment. Like same thing with going out into the forest, going for a hike or anything like that. Being able to smell the trees, hear the wind goes by, you know what I mean? How animals and how things in the forest just so elegantly go in tune. I feel like being into the most rawest or the most simplest environment help resonate you on a different level to where you're the capacity, like I wouldn't say animalistic instinct. It's more of the capacity for your body to be able to, you know, feel around, and like your sensories is just like a sensory overload. Like your body is like fully in tune to where it's more of becoming more of the truest point of yourself during that moment because of those vibrations, which I think is just amazing. And I hope everybody gets to be able to experience that one day.
Oh yeah. I definitely agree with you on that. And it's more like it's like life energy in a way, you know? Like it's like really feeling lifey. And those has been also some of my greatest moments when, I'm really in depth in the experience of life. Like literally. Like literally, bro.
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, man.
Just
So
just like the experience of life is just so fulfilling. It's crazy.
yeah, bro. It's really something to live for. I find it really cool that, people and us just like, look, we're normal human beings, right? And
Hmm.
just to put in terms of being a normal human being is amazing. Being like to be a normal human being, when I say normal, I just mean like you're just a human being. But to be a human being itself is amazing. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just like so wow how like we can take or just like our levels of enjoyment can reach such a high level
Mm.
and just like peak. Like we can constantly have peak experiences no matter like what we're doing. That is amazing. That is amazing factor. Like that is just amazing in itself, bro. Like
I get exactly what you mean. It's like it's so simply complicated. We are human beings. We had a whole, podcast about weirdness and, experiencing your own self, but being as simple of we are all of the same existence. We are all human. And being that of is simply complicated, we have so many internal functions that is happening without us physically, getting our brains and focusing and tracking the synapses of I'm a wiggle my big toe or I'm a snap right now. There's so many other things that's going, so many motions, motor functions, everything like that. And I feel like when we'll say like the meditation, we'll go back to that a little bit. We haven't had a podcast about it yet, but it's definitely coming up.
for sure.
So when you go into meditation, it's like tracking your blood flow. If you track your blood flow all the way down to the smallest extremities of your body, you just feel the energy flowing through you, which is so simplistic, but it's so complicated to think about. Everything that goes into that same thought process is just an electric snap in your synapses, which is just crazy. It's crazy how we're hardwired. It's crazy how we exist, how we're so tough and intelligent, but so fragile and vulnerable at the same time. It's like I can't put it any better. It's simply complicated, and it's beautiful to think about. It's a
Yeah,
miracle in itself.
yeah, bro. What do we do with this life? What do we do with this understanding of just like, yo, we're not here forever. Like, isn't that funny? Like, we're here. You can enjoy it. You can reach these peak experiences, and then to know that one day is going to come that ultimately you don't know what happens after
So you're talking about the whole mortality thing. I had a conversation earlier this week, and it drove my ideas. All right, it's another Alan Watts idea. I know you're the one who put me onto him, but I kept it rolling. So
Hey,
uh, he pretty much said we're born out of darkness. So what does birth and death have alike? So birth is a spontaneous experience to where you come from darkness into light, right? All sensory overload. Same thing as death. It's technically as if you're falling asleep and never waking up again. So if birth is that awakening to not go to sleep again, you know what I mean? And death is to go to sleep without waking up again, then what's the middle portion? That's all life. So if you have those two experiences on both spectrums, right? Both sides of the spectrum, how are they not alike? What's driving the idea that birth, wherever you came from at the beginning of birth, that darkness into light is not the similar thing that you went out into from falling asleep and not waking up again?
yeah, deep thoughts for sure, for sure. And I could definitely understand like how like yeah, it just you was here and then you kind of like I mean you're going back to where you came from, right? You know?
In a sense, like it's hard. It's so hard and complicated to like wrap your mind around. And I'm sorry, I'm gonna throw another phrase out there. Neil deGrasse Tyson, he says the cosmos and what did he say? Cosmos and the universe is under no impression to make sense to you. It has no obligation to make sense to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's going to be and do what it does, regardless whether you understand it or you get it or not. So you got to just appreciate it and understand for what you get out of it. I think that is like to wrap your brain around that is it's mind blowing to understand.
Yeah, that is a beautiful quote for sure. Yeah, man, we live a very interesting life. It's really funny, like with all this stuff going on, right? Like you were saying with the quote and like what it kind of made me think about just like it basically it told me like it told myself, fuck you. Because it was just like there's stuff you would never understand.
Yeah,
And you will waste well not even waste, but like until you can grasp that, it's the moment that like you can just let it happen, you know? And that's kind of how I took that
it's, it's,
quote, you know?
it's pretty much saying that you have to have some level of acceptance. You know, you can't always, if you will say, if you drive on the path to understand and have knowledge and everything like that, you're going to run yourself mad. You know what I mean? You're going to run yourself crazy because at some point in time, you have to accept that, hey, things are the way it is because that's the way it is.
Yeah,
And that's only, I'm not saying with the world or society or anything like that. I'm saying that with the truest level of you. You know?
yeah, man. Oh, yeah, I feel like the topics of like enlightenment, the topics of let's say psychedelics in a way, of the topics of getting in touch with your true self. I find them very, 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 very interesting topics because just I read like a really, really deep book on just like enlightenment, right? And it had me depressed for a minute, and then after that, depression was a huge like different point of view, different approach to the life I was living, and
I think I think we're going a little bit too deep. I mean, we're about to hit the time pretty soon. And you don't want to give them too much of our next, at our next excursion, exploration of the mind.
yeah, I'm gonna just leave it as a teaser then. Stay tuned. Our next topic coming up, dropping soon. It was nice.
That little bait and hook.
Yeah, bro. Nice having this conversation, bro. We gotta do this again.
Yeah, definitely. So before we sign out, you got any closing remarks?
Live yours. Explore this world that we are in. Explore yourself. Hey, be yourself.
Hey, and again, I'm awesum.malik, and I say stay true to you. Stay true to you. Keep that mindset going. Explore, 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 explore. I mean, there's nothing else that is more beautiful than the thought or the process of exploration. Find your own happiness. There's nobody else's responsibility of finding the obligation of your happiness other than your obligation to yourself. So again, stay inspired. I mean, stay true to you. This is awesum.malik.
It motivates. Signing out.